For today's video, I want to share how I trapped my betta fish when she developed dropsy and started pineconing. This clip is the only footage that I have of her while she was swollen up because I honestly didn't think she was going to make it, but thankfully I stuck to my treatment plan. In this clip, she's checking if the shrimp pellet is small enough for her to steal and eat, but you can see that her body is bloated and her scales are sticking out. Thankfully, I do keep medication for my fish on hand just in case this type of thing happens, so no time is wasted during the shipping process. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying this is the only way to treat dropsy in a betta fish. I just wanted to share what I did in the hope that I can help other people in this situation. Anyway, this is Marmalade, the betta fish today, and she's back to her normal self. I don't want to jinx it and say she's back to 100% health, but I'm really happy with her progress so far. The method I used was very simple, and I did a 90% water change every single day, and then I redosed Isha 2000 medication afterwards. I made sure that the water temperature was steady at 27 degrees Celsius or 81 degrees Fahrenheit, which is her normal tank temperature, and I did offer food every single day, but she didn't eat much for the first week, if anything at all. Thankfully, her appetite did start to come back early in week 2. I want to quickly explain why I chose to treat her in her main aquarium instead of moving her over to a hospital tank. The first reason is that some causes of dropsy are related to bacterial infections, so not treating the actual tank itself may have allowed her to become reinfected once I moved her back from the hospital tank into her regular tank. The second reason is that this is her regular tank, it's her home, she's familiar with it, she knows where her favourite hiding spots are, so my goal was to try and keep her calm and relaxed during the treatment. So like I said, to start the treatment I did a 90% water change to try and lower the potential pathogens in the water column just in case that was what was causing the issue. As usual, I always temperature match the water to 27 degrees Celsius before I put it back in the tank so there's no temperature shock or anything like that, and I add some tap water conditioner. Then I would dose Isha 2000, and it has a helpful online dosing calculator that I link to in the video description, but for this specific tank size it recommended 8 drops on day 1 and 4 drops on day 2 and 3. During my research phase, I saw a lot of people saying that they'd try to treat dropsy in their betta fish and had been unsuccessful, so I did a little more digging on the Isha website and found that you can do extended dosing if needed. Because I was also doing the 90% daily water change in case there was any bacterial issues in the water, I decided to keep adding 4 drops of the medication every day after the water change until the rest of my Isha 2000 ran out, because the bottle was close to empty anyway. For the first few days nothing changed at all, and I think she actually got a little bit worse for the first 2 to 3 days if I'm honest. By around day 7 her scales had started to flatten back down, although she was still quite swollen. During most of week 2 the swelling was localised to her stomach and belly area though, and the rest of her body quickly started to go back to normal. By the end of week 3, the bulk of the swelling had completely gone and she looked pretty much the same as she does now in these video clips, and she hasn't changed since. Coincidentally, the middle of week 3 was when my bottle of Isha 2000 finally ran out, so I stopped dosing, but I have ordered a backup bottle in case she starts to get worse again. So just to recap that, it was just over 3 weeks of daily 90% water changes, redosing 4 drops of Isha 2000 every time and testing her to see if she was hungry until her appetite returned, and then I put her back onto her regular feeding schedule. I know that this might sound like a long treatment, but the Isha website does note that there's no need to do water changes when using this medication, but because I was doing consistent large water changes in case there was any bacterial buildup in the tank, I do think that helped keep everything safe. And just in case anyone's wondering, I didn't notice any losses of shrimp in the tank either while I was dosing the medication, so I do think it's shrimp safe. So moving on, and I want to quickly touch on medication choices. Since I live in the United Kingdom, over-the-counter antibiotics are banned here. The only way to get antibiotics for a pet is with a vet's prescription, and unfortunately most vets don't see fish. To my knowledge, this also applies to the EU and Canada. That means that we are severely limited in the treatments that are available for sick fish. Thankfully, Isha 2000 is not an antibiotic, so we are legally allowed to buy it here, and it has an excellent reputation for being able to fight off bacterial and viral infections, which are two of the main causes of dropsy in fish. However, in other countries, you may be able to purchase antibiotics over the counter without needing a prescription from a vet, which can make treatment far easier. For example, I often see people recommend Canaplex from Seachem when treating dropsy in their fish over in the United States, but that is banned here, so I have no direct experience with it. So while Isha 2000 worked for me, there are other potentially more effective medications out there, so always research what you have access to in your area. Finally, I want to quickly touch on what dropsy actually is, because this will also play a large role in if you can even treat dropsy in your betta fish or not. The main thing to realise is that dropsy itself isn't actually the disease, it's actually a symptom of an underlying problem in your betta fish, and there's several possible causes. That's why some people have far better results when using certain medications than others. It's because the underlying problem in their betta fish causing the actual swelling is different. For example, if the dropsy in your betta fish is a symptom of a bacterial or viral infection, then treatments like Isha 2000 in Europe or any type of fish-friendly antibiotics in countries where they are legal may help. But dropsy can also be caused by things like organ failure or internal tumours inside of your betta fish putting pressure on the organs. In those cases, to my knowledge, there isn't actually an effective treatment for that condition, so it's unfortunately highly likely that betta fish may not make it. I also want to point out, to my knowledge at least, there's no reliable way to know for sure what's causing dropsy in your betta either, so you don't know if it's a bacterial or viral infection or even a parasitic infection, but they do seem to be less common that's causing it but can be treated, or if it's due to organ failure or internal tumours, which to my knowledge can't be treated. So my advice would be to come up with a treatment plan and stick with it, and hopefully your betta fish has dropsy due to an infection that is treatable, and it'll make a full recovery in time. This is Marmalade today, and she's pretty much back to her old self. She swims straight over to the tank glass when I'm near the aquarium expecting food, and if I don't give her a treat, she flares at me in protest. Her appetite is back to normal too. She eats her normal food, and then she makes the rounds to check the shrimp pellet every half an hour or so, to check if it's finally small enough for her to eat and steal from her shrimp tank mates. The swelling has gone down, and overall she really does look like she's back to normal. But I am keeping a close eye on her, and my new bottle of Isha 2000 arrives later today, so I can start treatment again if there's any problems. But if it does flare up again, I am leaning more towards just rescaping this tank, which I really don't want to do because it's one of my favourite scapes that I currently have, but the health of the fish does come first. Anyway guys, that brings the video to an end. I hope it's been helpful. Thanks for watching, and good luck treating your bettas that have dropsy.